With that, we'll move to agenda item 17, consideration of conditional use permit. Councilman Hafen.
Mayor, I'm gonna have to abstain from this item due to my ownership in a billboard.
Thank you, Councilman. Agenda item 17 is consideration of conditional use permit number CUP-12-004 Eureka Casino billboard conversion to convert their 14 by 48 billboard to an electronic display. The billboard is located at 580 El Dorado Road in the general commercial CR2 zone. Mr. Seacrest, what is that point? Mr. Seacrest.
Mayor, members of the council, recently the owners of the Eureka Hotel and Casino Urban Development petitioned the city to amend the non-conforming sign regulations to allow billboards to be converted to reader boards or electronic message centers. Ordinance number 460 was passed by the City Council on August 14, 2012. And this ordinance makes such conversions possible with the issuance of a conditional use permit. Urban Development is now seeking the approval of a conditional use permit to convert one of its signs at 580 El Dorado Road to an LED electronic display. The sign is located right next to the 19th Hole Restaurant, the CR2 General Commercial Zone. Staff recommendation is to open the public hearing for public comment and then approve the conditional use permit.
Thank you, Mr. Seacrest. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing at this time. Seeing no public comment, we'll close the public hearing and go to the council. Any questions for Mr. Seacrest? Councilman Gustavson?
Thank you, Mayor. If there are no questions, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Let me check the other side. Any questions, council? Council? No questions? Go ahead, Councilman.
Okay, I would move that we approve conditional use permit case number CUP-12-004.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 18 is consideration of approval of proposed tour of sites related to future city council policy decisions. Mr. Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Here in council, I'm recommending that the council approve a 2 to 3 hour bus tour of sites in the community which will be relevant to future council decisions. Believing that a picture is worth 1,000 words, I think it would be of value to see some of the sites. Some of them are, that I've suggested, are on the back side of the piece of paper, but for the purpose of the audience, I'll read just a couple. On the existing cemetery site, proposed site for a new cemetery, some of the maintenance issues that we're having with the sports events complex, access and building challenges to exit 118. We propose doing this in conjunction with a tech review either before or after. This would be something that would be available to the public. We have 2 buses that will be available to us free of charge from Silver Rider. I think each bus holds either 16 or 18. This would be a noticed meeting, but we would certainly be able to take members of the press or residents on a first-come, first-served basis. We would certainly work with the council in finding a date and time to do this. And we'd certainly work with the mayor and the council in setting an agenda. Again, the items, the places, the visits that I mentioned at the back of the page of the memo are just some suggestions council may choose to add or delete from it.
Any questions from Mr. Barton from the council? Seeing none, we'll seek a motion. Councilman Littman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed tour of sites related to future city council policy decisions.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 19 is consideration of approval of a strategic planning retreat and other matters properly related thereto. Mr. Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Staff is proposing a strategic planning retreat, and by retreat, basically what I'm talking about is an extended workshop. I think retreat can be a negatively charged word, but essentially what this would be is an extended workshop. This would be an open meeting that would be held between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. on a date of the council's choosing. The purpose of the retreat essentially would be to have the council set a number of goals, somewhere between 4 and 6, more or less if so desired. I would recommend doing it in a shorter list. It's my hope that this would be a very practical workshop. I'm certainly not interested in wasting anybody's time, especially not the council's. But I think this would be a very positive thing for both the community and for staff. Staff would certainly can use direction from council on where you want to go. We can help you get there. Staff would be in attendance to serve as a resource for council at the retreat. We are proposing that Randy Robison, who was our, up until very recently, worked for the city in the capacity of legislative advocacy. He is now in the private sector, and he's doing these kinds of, he's facilitating these kinds of retreats. People know him and are familiar with working with him. He has a good reputation. He's also proposed to facilitate for a retreat for $1,500, which, based on my past experience in retreats, this is a good cause. Unfortunately, we don't have any money budgeted this year for a retreat, so if the council decides to go ahead with this, it would be taken out of general fund reserves. The retreat would be held at Fire Station number 3, again at a date of the council choosing. Staff would also follow up, do a follow-up report card about 6 months later, just to let council and staff know how we're doing in terms of meeting the goals that were outlined by council. So it would be my hope that the council approves this, and I think this would be a very valuable thing for both staff and the community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. Any questions for Mr. Barton? Councilman Hayden?
Do we have any tentative dates you looked at, Andy, that everybody can agree on?
At this point, no, I'm hoping that we can do this either in November or December, before we get in at a time that doesn't interfere with any of the holidays. I would ask Cindy Mesquite to work with you to find a date that would be agreeable to everybody.
And I do commend you on recommending Randy. He is familiar with not only the city, the state, but he understands the challenges, and I think he'll do a great job.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll seek a motion. Councilman Rapson?
I'd like to move for the approval of a strategic planning retreat and other matters properly related thereto.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Motion carries. Agenda item 20 is consideration of adoption of Bill number 461, an ordinance of the City of Mesquite, Nevada, amending Title VII of the Mesquite Municipal Code, Building and Development, Chapter 1, Building and Related Codes, Section 4, Energy Conservation Code, by adopting the 2009 edition of the International Energy Conservation Code, regulating and governing energy-efficient building envelopes and installation of the energy-efficient mechanical, lighting, and power systems in the City of Mesquite, providing for the issuance of permits and collection of fees therefore, and other matters properly related thereto. Mr. Sawyer.
Yes, Mayor and Council. As directed by Council at the previous council meeting, staff has investigated the obligations and requirements that the city is in adopting the 2009 International Energy Conservation Code. On October 2nd, 2012, I called and spoke with Stacy Crowley of the Division of Director of the Nevada State Office of Energy, and I asked her what penalties would be assessed if the City of Mesquite did not adopt the 2009 code. She replied that the current law does not allow for penalties, but an update to the law is being brought to legislation that does allow for penalties to be assessed. Based on the current law, it's my understanding that the City Council, that the City of Mesquite does not adopt the let's start over. Based on the current law, it It is my understanding that if the city of Mesquite does not adopt the 2009 IECC, no penalties will be assessed by the state of Nevada. Due to the financial impact of the 2009 IECC will have on residential and commercial constructions within the city of Mesquite, it is staff's recommendation that the city council not adopt the 2009 International Energy Conservation Code or its amendments until the legislature passes any bills imposing fines.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyer. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing at this time.
David Baldwick. At the last meeting, I voiced my objection to this, and I thank you for considering this and doing the research on if this has to be done. The one thing, there has been some statements made in the public about that we would be starting to build substandard buildings or buildings that would be somehow not energy efficient, which is the farthest thing from the truth. The 2006 code stays in effect, and those codes have extremely strenuous insulation, lighting control, energy efficiency in there. So this will not in any way create a substandard construction in Mesquite. All it really does is maybe puts a little bit of a point out that we've got to stop the incremental autopilot for regulations to come down from above, and it just passes through, and it comes down to us and who the enforcers are. We feel like we don't have any type of recourse on it. So I appreciate you making the statement, and with the new maybe with the new League of the League of City committee, maybe you guys can go to the legislature and get all the cities behind this, because this affects all cities, not just Mesquite. Thank you.
Do we have any further public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and go to questions from council. Excuse me,
This is for Kurt. In your letter, you say that your recommendation is not to adopt. In the recommendations, it is to adopt. The letter probably came later, is that why?
That is, the letter came later.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions of staff? Seeing none, we'll seek a motion.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead, council.
Is it better to make a motion or let it die for lack of one?
If it's better to make a motion and get a vote if possible, so it's on the record, but if the council chooses to let it die with no motion, that can happen as well.
Councilman Hafen.
Nobody's going to make a motion. I'll make a motion that we not adopt Bill 461 at this time.
I'll second it.
Second.
We have a motion.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Does that include until such time as the fees are imposed by the state?
That's at this time. I'll just leave it at that.
All right.
So we have a motion at this time. Council, is that still second? I
Yes, it is.
That's the one who seconded. So we'll go ahead. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. Okay, go ahead, Councilman.
I choose not to vote on this particular item. I know that, I understand that what the concern is, but ultimately I think we're going to have to vote on it. When I took an oath, when I was sworn in, I swore in my oath to follow the laws of the community, the state, and the federal government. This is a state law at this point in time. Because of that, I would like to have a record that I abstain from voting on.
So you're abstaining from the vote, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.